covering your campus, your community, and your world. From the McElroy Communication Arts Center in the Grant Price Studio, this is WTV8 News.
We think we're a good value for the price, and we try to keep it that way.
Wartburg has eclipsed the $40,000 mark for next year's tuition. We have complete team coverage of the tuition increase.
It's for the kids. See what had Wartburg students dancing the night away in Levick Arena.
And some of Wartburg's most interesting men were looking to be crowned Mr. Wartburg 2012. See who came out victorious. You're watching WTV8 News. And good evening, thanks for joining us. I'm Andrew Bridgewater.
And I'm Jacqueline Schutte.
A fight broke out outside of the Fainting Goat early Sunday morning involving a Wartburg football player. Police were called to the Goat around 12:30 Sunday morning. The fight allegedly started when the girlfriend of Martin Hyatt budged in line outside of the Goat.
She was then allegedly called a derogatory name, which caused Hyatt to start throwing punches. Here you see blood that remains from the fight in the Fainting Goat parking lot. Hyatt then fled the scene and headed back toward campus. This is where police caught up with him. Sergeant Curtis Hansel confronted Hyatt on campus.
That is when Hyatt started fighting with the officer trying to resist the arrest. During the fight, Hyatt punched Sergeant Hansel in the jaw. Hyatt is charged with an assault on a police officer, interference with official acts, public intoxication, and disorderly conduct.
Hyatt is a sophomore at Wartburg College and plays defensive end for Wartburg. This year he had 33 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and an interception that he returned back for a touchdown. Hyatt spent last night in the jail. He posed to bail this morning. This is an ongoing investigation, and we will give you more information as it becomes available.
An email sent out to hundreds of Wartburg alumni this morning caused a little bit of a stir. WT8's Ben Hopmorth investigated what all the fuss was about.
This email was sent out to nearly 500 Wartburg alumni in an attempt to update the alum's address and information, but it's the way that the email is worded that is causing some former students to be upset. The email says, quote, "We're writing because our database shows that you're living with your parents. If this is true, we applaud and commend you for saving your money. Your education at Wartburg obviously instilled in you the common sense that we've since lost." This did not sit too well with some alumni who received the email. This Facebook post reads, "Received this little gem from my alma mater. Who approved this writing? It is supposed to make anyone feel better that A, they live with their parents and are being applauded for it, B, by a college that claims it's lost its common sense. Director of Alumni and Parent Relations Jeff Beck says there was no intent to upset Wartburg's alumni.
Ask for people to update their information with us all the time, and so, like I said, in this case, we were just trying to have a little fun with it, and rather than send out a boring, we don't have the right address for you right now, please update your address. We were just trying to have a good time with it, and I think it's really just a case of reading it in a way that's a little bit different or a lot different than the way we had intended it.
Beck and the rest of the Alumni Association are expecting this whole situation to blow over very soon. Reporting for WTV8 News, I'm Ben Hoppenworth.
Jeff Beck just recently sent out another email to those same alumni apologizing if anything was confusing or offensive. Over winter break, Wartburg College announced next year's tuition numbers. Here's a breakdown on how much it will cost to attend Wartburg.
The total cost is just over $41,000. Tuition makes the majority of that number at just under $32,000. Room and board make up just over $8,000, with student service fees making up the rest. I start tonight's team coverage on why Wartburg College believes the increase was needed.
Nobody likes to see more dollars flowing out of their pocket. It's the same argument with taxes.
But this will be the case for all returning Wartburg students as the cost of a Wartburg education increases by nearly 5% for the next academic year.
Lowest increase I think that we could come up with that allows us to address the increases in expenses that the college faces.
Wartburg College has been operating on what the college calls a bare bones budget for the past 2 to 3 years, just trying to keep ahead of rising costs. However, it is now getting to a point where Wartburg is losing ground to other colleges in areas such as professors' salaries.
If we're going to maintain the quality of programs that we want to provide to our students and maintain the quality of faculty, then we're going to have to invest in that a little bit.
Even though Wartburg is trying to maintain quality, they are still trying to stay as affordable as possible.
I think there does need to be some way of figuring out how do we keep this doable for folks.
A householder has more on those folks who will be dealing with the new tuition firsthand.
Thanks, Jackie. Though administration and the Board of Regents get to decide the dollar amount of full tuition, they are not the ones who have to pay for it. This week, I was able to hear from students about what they thought of the new price. Many decisions are made to finalize the numbers that add up to a full tuition of $41,055. But it affects one group of people more than anyone: students. They have to fork over the cash now or pay off the debt later. So what do these young adults think of the new price of Wartburg College?
I've heard a lot of mixed reactions. I've heard that people are really upset about it, and some people are just so indifferent because they can't really change it.
Well, I was disappointed to begin with.
I feel like it was high enough. So once they raised it again, the first thing is why?
That is a good question that has been asked quite a few times now. Why is tuition being raised? In fact, throughout our interviews, no students claim to fully understand why Wartburg is upping its price.
No idea where any of the money goes besides to the professor salaries and basic maintenance of the school, of tuition dollars and stuff.
We didn't really explain where specifically the money was going, so I don't think it's that good.
I wish they would put in the trumpet, tell somebody to tell us, tell my advisor, let my advisor, I don't know.
Students have plenty of questions about Wartburg's cost, but one thing remains certain: tuition is going up, and these students will have to pay for it.
While winter break may have been a relaxing time for most, some students were traveling to the country to benefit others. 117 students participated in 10 different service trips over winter break. The students helped with anything from environmental restoration to educational activities with children. Each trip was required to perform 40 hours of community service during the week. Student Director for Service Trips, Natalie Gimberling, says she has only heard of positive feedback from the trips.
I've talked to a lot of participants, read the blogs, and I think everyone really did have a really good experience, that they were able to expand upon what they had prepared for, and it really met their expectations or went above and beyond them.
Singers in the Ritter Corps were up for sale for a good cause. The All-Male Choir held its annual date auction, where members of the audience could buy themselves a date. At the end of the night, the choir raised almost $1,200 for Dance Marathon. We'll have more on the Dance Marathon and their big event later on in the newscast. More of the men of Wartburg were starting their stuff on Thursday last week in the return of Mr. Wartburg. 8 men showed off their style in a formula competition followed by a talent competition, including singing, dancing, and everything in between. The contestants then had a chance to show what it really meant to be orange. Freshman Hunter Pagel was crowned Mr. Wartburg at the end of the night by a panel of Tanya Derger of Dining Services, Bernard Holland of Security, and Communication Arts Professor Bridget Schultz.
This past weekend, a culture fair kicked off Culture Week 2012. The fair, located in the ballrooms, featured food from international students' home countries. There were also booths with information about each country as well as their artifacts. There are 134 international students on campus from 49 different countries.
In general, Culture Week is an event that every year it becomes bigger and bigger. This year's Culture Fair, again, it proves that it's bigger and there are more people coming and more people understanding about Culture Fair.
And Culture Week will conclude this Saturday with a talent show in Newman Auditorium. The show starts at 7:30 p.m.
Coming up, we know how much Wartburg will cost next year, but where exactly does our $40,000 a year go? We have the answer.
And in sports, Wartburg athletes made history over the weekend at Nationals. You're watching WTV8 News.
Tuition has increased to $41,055 for the 2012-2013 year. Some may wonder whose pockets the money really ends up in. The total revenue of the 2010-2011 academic year is around $70 million. Of that $70 million, $50 million comes from tuition. Just over $24 million of that $70 million is applied to financial aid. That accounts for about 35% of the total budget. An additional $24 million goes towards the salaries of faculty and staff. That's another 35% of the total budget. The remaining 30% of the budget goes toward most everything else, including things like electricity. No other single area of the budget takes up more than 5%. The additional $20 million not covered by tuition comes from donations made to the college.
extremely high quality soil here in this county. Here in north central Iowa, with the caliber of Riedland, Tripola, Clyde, Floyd soil types, we're blessed with soil that's 2, 3, 4 feet deep.
Agriculture has always been one of the biggest industries in the Midwest and right here in Iowa. Last year, Bremer County was one of only 2 counties in Iowa with 190 bushel per acre yields, beating out the previous year's record by an extra 19 bushels per acre. Iowa was the only state able to raise its per bushel corn yield last year over 2010. Meanwhile, soybeans topped at 60 bushels per acre last year. Usually, Iowa's top producing counties are north of Interstate 80. Roughly 134,000 acres of corn and 69,000 acres of soybeans were harvested in 2007 alone, and that number has only continued to increase in the last few years.
Well, one thing about it, if you look in the business side of it, in Bremer County here with over 200,000 acres of crop ground, it makes a major effect. We were fortunate last year. We had excellent rain. The rains we got are exactly when we needed them. Mother Nature could
and
change
with
the
the
other
mild winter that we had this year, Iowa farmers can anticipate another good year for their yield in 2012.
Coming up, one night can save a life. See how one night of dancing is making a difference. And a globally known organization is turning 100 this year. Find out what they're doing to celebrate.
Every year, Wartburg students gather in Levick Arena for a special cause.
WTV8's Justin Zacconi was at Levick Saturday to see what all the excitement was about. Justin?
Levick Arena was the host of one of Wartburg's most popular events of the year, Dance Marathon. I was there to capture what was a special day to a lot of kids.
It's for the kids.
It's for the kids.
It's for the kids.
That was the motto Saturday as hundreds of Wartburg students gathered in Levick Arena to fundraise for the University of Iowa's Children's Hospital. Their way of giving back? A dance marathon that includes playing with the kids they are helping. Participant Haley Flores enjoys being a part of the marathon because somebody close to her was once in the same situation as the kids.
My cousin was young. She was diagnosed with cancer, and she spent some time up at the Iowa City Children's Hospital. And so I take this opportunity for me to kind of give back for my family.
The day featured a multitude of activities from motion video games, ping pong, and a dodgeball tournament. Morale captains like Katie Hennessy saw how much fun it was to lead the activities and decided to become a part of the fun-filled day.
I loved the morale leaders when I did it before, and I just thought that the level of energy they brought to the event was so amazing, and I wanted to do that too.
While dancing and games comprise most of the dance marathon, nobody forgets why they are here, and hearing the family stories is the best moment of the day.
I like when we introduce the families at the beginning of the event, and just interacting with the kids throughout the day is a lot of fun.
Sherry Ritter, whose son Jackson was diagnosed with Chiari malformation, says that Dance Marathon is a special event because of how it can help relieve a family's stress, even for a day.
7 years ago, he had neurosurgery at the U of I and required an 8-day hospital stay and does follow-ups now. But when your child is ill, and anything that can help lift a little bit of that weight is really important.
Kids were active and running around, playing with students and participating in seemingly everything. There is one event, though, that stood out for Jackson and his friend.
I like the dodgeball tournament a lot. Same here, I like dodgeball.
In the midst of all the dancing students, Sherry Ritter is proud of Dance Marathon because it puts the students at the center of everything.
I just love how it makes the children feel so incredibly important. They just feel special and important, and all of this is for them, and they know that and they can feel it.
And Wartburg raised over $27,000, exceeding their goal of $25,000.
Primary season is in full swing, and the biggest day of the season was last week on Super Tuesday. 11 states held their primaries or caucuses last Tuesday. Mitt Romney won 7 of those 11 states, and Rick Santorum won 3. Newt Gingrich also nabbed his home state of Georgia. Santorum continued on the campaign trail with a win in the Kansas caucus on Saturday. Alabama, Hawaii, and Mississippi will vote tomorrow night.
Indiana is well on its way to becoming the 39th state to ban smoking statewide. Last Friday, Indiana's State Senate voted and passed a bill to ban smoking in public places across the state. The bill will not ban smoking in any bars or taverns. The bill now sits on the desk of Indiana's Governor Mitch Daniels, waiting to be signed into law.
12 cents. That's how much gas has gone up per gallon in the past 2 weeks. The national average for a gallon of unleaded gasoline sits at $3.79. Here in Waverly, gas prices are currently sitting 15 cents below the national average at $3.64. In the last 4 months, the national average has gone up a total of 30 cents per gallon. The Girl Scouts of America are celebrating their 100th birthday today. More than 3,000 Girl Scouts, volunteers, and Girl Scout officials marched across the Talmadge Bridge in Savannah, Georgia, where the Girl Scouts headquarters are located. More events were scheduled across the country to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Girl Scouts.
Coming up in sports, Wartburg made NCAA history on Saturday. Stay tuned to WTV8 News to find out more. Your sports starts in 2 minutes. 2 teams, 2 titles, 1 day. This was the theme last Saturday for the Wartburg Knights. First up for the Orange and Black was the Grappling Knights in La Crosse, Wisconsin. To no one's surprise, the Knights came out in dominating fashion. After the first day, 7 out of the 10 competitors advanced to the quarterfinals, including Kenny Anderson, Cody Silvestri, Landon Williams, Bradley Banks, Byron Tate, Cole Welter, and Ryan Fank. Heading into the finals round on Saturday, the Knights stood atop the team leaderboard with 70 points. In the championship rounds, Kenny Anderson won his first national title at 125 pounds. Cody Silvestri stunned the defending 2-time national champion as he won at 141 pounds. Silvestri was later named Most Outstanding Wrestler by the NWCA. Landon Williams also came away with a national championship at 165 pounds. Byron Tate became the program's second 3-time national champion at 197 pounds. With this win, he became only the 12th wrestler in NCAA history to accomplish this feat of a three-peat. Other place winners for the Orange and Black included Bradley Banks, who took second at 174 pounds, Dylan Azinger placed 4th at 184, Ryan Fank finished in 4th at 285, and Drew Wagenhofer took 6th place. With all those wins, Wartburg earned the national title with 141.5 points. This is their 9th national title and 2nd consecutive team trophy. Let's toss it to Coach.
It's been a very special tournament for us. But really a very special year, but this group really bought in. I mean, not often do you get 5 guys in the finals. You know, half your team in the finals. That just doesn't happen.
Wartburg's 4 individual championships tied the NCAA meet record, which Wartburg set in 2003. At the end of the weekend, 8 Knights earned All-American honors. The national titles continued to roll as the Wartburg indoor track and field teams headed to Grinnell last weekend for the national indoor meet. The Knights found success right away on day 1 of competition. Sky Morrison won the long jump with her jump of 20 feet 3 inches, demolishing the D3 record. Jonas Aluzame also took the title with his jump of 23 feet and 3 3/4 inches. Kamisha Goods came in 12th place for the pentathlon, and the women's distance medley finished in 3rd. After the first day of competition, the women were in 2nd place. The Knights continued to dominate on Saturday as Aluzame took 5th in the men's high jump. Sarah Hoffman and Britlin Seek each earned All-American titles by placing 2nd and 6th place respectively in the shot put. Kamisha Goods and Tashina McAllister also earned All-American honors after placing 2nd and 6th respectively in the 60-meter hurdles. The All-American honors continued as Sky and Nevada Morrison and Kendra Kragel won the 400-meter dash. Brianna Bivens and Faith Burt finished in 3rd and 5th place respectively in the 60-meter dash, giving them All-American titles. Laura Sigmund and Alana Nabnit went 1-2 in the women's 5K, and to finish off the night, the women's 4x400 won their race to give the women the national title. Let's hear what Coach had to say.
Special to get it done in Iowa, special to get it done in our home state, and obviously it's special to get another national championship.
The women won the meet with 99 points. Now to put that into perspective, the old national point record was 66 points. Every single one of the women's track competitors, 13 total, earned at least one All-American honor. The men's team finished in 14th place. Head coach Marcus Newsom was named the USTF-CCCA Central Regional Women's Coach of the Year for the 6th time at his time at Wartburg, and Steve Johnson was named Women's Assistant Coach of the Year.
Two dominant performances from two dominant teams.
Very impressive weekend for Wartburg, and actually we were just mentioned on Sports Center for our accomplishment, so very cool.
Very cool indeed. Thanks, Shelby. And now we'll help you come back with a little bit of something that you're all going to be looking at this week with March Madness. Stay tuned for more WTV8 News. And yesterday was Selection Sunday in the world of college basketball, which means that March Madness is upon us. Kentucky, Syracuse, North Carolina, and Michigan State have been selected as this year's #1 seeds, with Kentucky being the #1 overall seed. First 4 games we played Tuesday and Wednesday this week, with all 65 teams we hoping to cut down the nets in New Orleans on April 2nd as national champions. So, question now is, who do you have in your bracket?
Do you want me to start?
I think Shelby should start, sports anchor.
Okay, my final 4, I have Kentucky, Michigan State, Vanderbilt, and North Carolina. In the finals, I have Michigan State and North Carolina, and I have North Carolina winning it all.
Okay, I got Kentucky, Missouri, and then I've been debating between Ohio State and Syracuse all day, but I'm going to say Ohio State and then UNC, with Kentucky winning it all.
Okay, I had Michigan State and Missouri there, and it was really tough for me to pick, but I went with Michigan State. So.
And that's all the time we have. Thank you, and have a good night.